Welcome everybody to the Black Isco Show. I guess that's what we're calling it. I don't really have a title for this, except for the topic at hand. And I'm just gonna jump right into it. How do you build a successful nation? How do you build a thriving community? And these are just things that I've been working through in my mind, certain ideas I've had about nation building, and what are the fundamentals that you need to get right? What are the fundamental cornerstones that are needed in order to build all the other things that come with a successful nation? So basically the fundamental components of a successful nation. And I'm just going to jump right into it. And I think the three that I can identify at the moment for me, or from what I've seen, the commonalities in nations that are successful tend to have these three fundamental things down packed. They have them set up, and these are the things they found their success upon. So the first thing, and I think I put it first because it has to come first in order to build the other components, and that is the culture of a place. So a culture, you're talking about the fundamental belief system that is instilled in the members of the community or the society or the nation. And these are, yes, your core beliefs, your espoused beliefs, the artifacts, the behaviors of the people in the country. So the things that they value, these are the values, the value system of the people in a nation. So what are the things that a successful nation or a successful people value? I think one of those things is meritocracy. So if you have a place that values people being put in position because they deserve to be in those positions. So if you are the best engineer, you become the chief engineer. If you are the best person, you're the best leader, you become the mayor or the president or anything else like that. If you are, what I could go into this ad nauseum. If meritocracy is about putting the right people in the right jobs because they have earned it through merit, through their hard work, their diligence, their discipline. They have earned their position. So there needs to be a value of putting people into places because they deserve to be there. So valuing that and rewarding that and understanding and keeping that system going is important. So on the other side of that, you have to root out the nepotism and the favoritism. So that has to be shunned because there's two parts to it. There's the carrot and the stick. So you reward the great behavior and you punish the undesirable behavior. So things like nepotism and whatnot. These are things that eventually end up corrupting the system. That's what corruption really is. It's not. When we talk about corruption, we tend to just think of bribes. But it's more than that. It's about the what does the word corruption mean? It means to make something rotten in a sense. It is to diminish the quality or to remove the integrity of a system. So corruption takes the form of nepotism or favoritism. That is a form of corruption of the system. Because it removes the integrity of the system. So you need to have meritocracy, and that should be the foundation of things. You need to also have diligence. You need to have people who are diligent in their work. They stay on point, and they keep their eyes open. They stay aware and awake to the threats of corruption of the system. And yes, these are people who are awake and aware of what they're doing, and aside from diligence, also discipline, people who practice their craft every day, whatever it may be, people who wake up early, get the work done, practice. And that's another key component of a thriving culture. Fairness. So there needs to be fair, there needs to be competition, but it needs to be fair. You don't want to screw people over. You want to give people fair deals. Don't don't overcharge, don't rip them off. You make sure everything is a fair exchange, fair competition as well. Like, you don't win by shoving someone out of the race. You beat them fair and square by being faster than them. So that's another thing that should be promoted in a culture: fair competition. And I think that leads to a thriving community, because and a thriving business environment, because competition is what brings out the best in people, right? And if it's fair, if people are winning fair and square, there's no real need for resentment, because okay, guy beat me fair and square, I just need to be better than him next go around. And if you have that set in place, this fair competition, this meritocracy, your discipline and diligence, I think it sets the ground right for fair competition. And on top of that, I think you need to have people who value accountability. You need people who can be honest with themselves, who can be responsible, and when they make a mistake, they can own up to it. And I think that's necessary for a culture, for a thriving culture. So that's the one bit. The next thing I was talking about is infrastructure. No, sorry, not infrastructure. The next thing is policy and legislation, the rule of law. You need to have a place that has the right legislature in place. So this is the justice system, the rule of law. You need to make people feel as though they can be given justice when they are wronged, but also the likelihood of being wronged or being threatened, or the community being threatened, or crime happening, needs to be as low as possible. Of course, crime is an inevitable part of human society, but if you can lessen or minimize that risk, then you're in a good place, or you take your country to a good place by doing so. So if you have your rule of law, so the policing is good, and also the justice system, like the judiciary, handing out the sentences, and the what can we call, what do you call it when you go to court? Where, the whole court process of defending yourself, and that thing, that justice can actually be served. And if someone is wronged, then that wrong can be rectified. That's important. The other part of the legislature is putting in place policies that promote productivity. Oh, there's a lot of P's in that sentence. Yeah, man, like, just making sure that you have the right trade policies, the right exchange controls, the right monetary policy, the right tax policy. The tax regime needs to be one that promotes competition, and again, that makes it easy for business to thrive in your community. You need to have people believing they can do well for themselves, and that lends itself to the aspirational character of man. When you set up a place that can provide that, and makes it easy for people to start their businesses. That's an important thing, I think. So the legislature, the rule of law, the policies that promote human endeavor, I think are important. Yeah, man. So we've covered culture, we've covered the legislature. I think those two things go hand in hand, because if you have a culture that is one that is positive and promotes aspiration and fair competition and discipline and diligence, it kind of lends itself to the type of policies that get set in place. So you're going to have the culture informs the legislature to a degree. And so, yeah, those are the two things. First, culture, legislature. The third thing being the infrastructure. So you need to have the infrastructure, like the things, the physical things set in place that help a community thrive. So I think it's six things. The first one is really the most basic, really. You need to have water and sanitation. You have a clean place, you have a hygienic situation, potable water. These are necessary for, this is the building blocks for people to rise to their optimal level just from a physical perspective. You have people in a healthy environment, a hygienic environment, they don't get sick as often, and that lends itself to a healthy community. So that's the first thing, of course. And normally I wouldn't even talk about that sort of thing, but I live in a third world country where it's not a given that you have water or hygiene, or like the city council collecting garbage. It's not really a thing. So that's the first thing. Next is the energy. You need to have a solid, robust energy sector, great power supply, because when you have the right power supply, then you get your productivity up. You get factories and office buildings working, around the clock, and yeah, you get a more productive society by having an energy sector that is robust and 24/7, and the network is across the country, and that also lends itself to security. You have your surveillance and all that. So, and not even just surveillance, just having street lights that are on at night, it deters crime to an extent, because people don't want, the criminals don't want to move in the light, they want to move in the dark. So these are things that are necessary. So your energy, potable water, sanitation, energy. Then your transport networks. You need to have the right transport networks, because if you have a good transport network, it reduces the cost of transporting goods across the country, in and across the country. You spend less time in transit. So, and it's also less wear and tear on vehicles like trucks. Malawi, it's one of the more expensive places to travel, just because the roads are so bad that trucks often get punctures and more wear and tear by driving around in here. And of course, it takes longer to transport goods because the roads are messed up, so the vehicles have to slow down. And the rail network is not that great either. So because trains are able to provide scale, because they can transport a much greater volume of goods than, say, a truck can. So you get that kind of economies of scale by having a rail network that can ship cargo to and from places. Yeah, man, you need to have your transport network set up right. What else? You need to have your healthcare facilities up and running. So your hospitals, your clinics, that lends itself to a healthy community, and a healthy community is more productive, less sick days, because people are not sick. I mean, they can take their leave and whatnot, but actual sick days, it's less sick days, so people are more productive. Longer lifespans as well means that you have more people who are able to not only work in the workplace for longer or run their businesses for longer, but also they are there to serve their community for longer. They can help raise their children for longer. So it's a win-win for the health sector to be great. And then of course there's the education. So you have more robust and better education. It means that in the long run your economy will do well because you're going to have more innovation, more technology coming through the education sector that you've put in place. You're going to have more smart people coming through. So you're going to have a better workplace. Sorry, not workplace, but better workforce. Your human capital improves. So you become more productive over time. So what have we said? We've said sanitation, energy, education, healthcare, transport. What am I missing? Security, national security. So once you have a great police force and a great army, your borders are secure, and then internally your people are secure, and that lends itself to the stability of the nation. So that's the infrastructure that you need to have in place. So what have we said today? We've said culture, legislature, and infrastructure. They kind of end in the same, yeah, they end in the same three letters. Huh. I didn't notice that until just now. Interesting. I guess there's a reason for that. Anyway, yeah, man, those are the three things I believe that are necessary to build a thriving community, society, or country. And I think I'm going to end it there for now, but this is going to be an ongoing discussion, I believe. Whenever I happen upon new information or I can put a new spin on these things, I think I might bring them up. But yeah, man, those are the three things I believe are necessary to build a nation. If you have any, comments or additions that you would like to make, any criticisms, let me know, man. I'm happy to do this because I'm just looking to find a way to help a country become better. And I think the one thing that ties these three things together is great leadership. Once you have great leadership, leaders and culture are two sides of the leadership and culture are two sides of the same coin, because a culture can influence a leader, and the leader can then in change culture. You know what I mean? You need leaders to change culture. So the leaders change the culture. They also set in place the legislature. They become the policy makers, and then they can help ensure that the infrastructure is put in place. So great leadership is also a key ingredient in this. Anyway, man, we'll end it there. Let me know what you guys think. Comments, concerns, you can put them in the comments below. Hopefully next time we get more people to join in the live chat. I did this one a little late, so most of my subscribers are probably asleep. But yeah, man, I'll check you guys out later. Peace. My name is Black Isco. And you can check my music out on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that good stuff. Yeah, man.